It's so wonderful to be with all of you today. And I think it's afternoon in, where do I start? In Canada. And it's 10 after 5 here in Kinshasa. So the meetings these days are wonderful for me because uh, I don't have to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock to attend meetings. So works really well for me. And I decided to work on the whole question of dream because it seems like everything that we do start with dreaming. And I've been accused sometimes about being overly optimistic because I guess that's the way I grew up. And I would see that even in the context of chaos, you can always find some level of order within chaos. So maybe that's where my dreaming comes from. So the few things that I want to share with you today, based on the title that I use, The Powerful Dream, Makeka of Hope during DR Congo Renaissance. I think I already made a comment of the fact that I am maybe over optimistic, but I don't mind it. That's the way I grew up. I probably would be like that until I die. But anyway, a few things I want to share with you today is one little bit about the DR Congo is really a land of dreamers and opportunities for many people, those who could want to be dreamers, and then also seeing opportunities where some other people might see obstacles. And then I was talking about Kijiji, where I was born, and which was the foundation of my dreaming. And then also to share with you the fact that sometimes there are obstacles that come through dreaming, and there are family and personal challenges, but yet you have to keep on dreaming. And then I want to share a little bit with you about what it takes for dream to be able to dream. In spite of the desire to dream, there are also national challenges that come along that if you don't look very carefully, you might think that dreaming in certain context is not possible. And then connected to all that, for Mama Makeka House of Hope, which was already mentioned as an organization created or founded in honor of my mother, who died because of a lack of adequate medical services here in Kinshasa at the time. So I call that section, I call it For Such a Time as This. In terms of Kijiji, my foundation started. Actually, even during my childhood, the picture I have there is when I was probably 6 or 7 or 8 years old, spending time with one of the two of the children of my one of the doctors who was working in Kijiji when I was a kid. We are playing doctors and nurses at that time. And then when I got to high school, the other picture that I have there is about when I was playing several sports, mainly soccer, a little bit of basketball and volleyball. And there, the motto was basically related to my childhood, was that how high can you jump? And then with time, I learned that sky is the limit. As far as the Democratic Republic of Congo, where I was born, and for where I am now again, even when many people probably thought that I might not be able to come back here, but I decided that it's here where I belong, in spite of what's going on in the country at the time then and now. This is my place, and I'll say a little bit more about that. What's amazing about the country is several things. One of them, if you look at its structure, which I will send to you, you will see when you get the presentation, is that more than 60% of the population is under 25 years of age. So it's very vibrant, young folks who have a lot of drive and who also have a lot of hope. And then if you add the population under 55, it comes up to more than 90% of the population. So it has incredible potential for ideas and what can be done. The other thing about the country also is that it's a country with a lot of natural resources. And those natural resources, in some ways, you can consider them as a blessing for the country. The World Bank has reported that there are about 1,100 known minerals in the Congo. And the Congo holds probably 60 to 70% of the minerals or the products needed for, I guess I'll call them the critical minerals, like cobalt, uranium, columbite, which is the tantalite, I guess it's called the coltan, tin and copper. Many of these are needed for making electric batteries, batteries for electric cars, and some of them are needed for electronic equipment, such as the telephone that we use, the iPads, and many other areas that where these critical minerals are needed. So in some ways, it's a blessing. In the last couple of years, they've discovered also that there's petroleum, there's oil all across the country. And that is added again to another area of a blessing and yet probably a curse, because with the mining in the country creates a lot of problem related to the environment. There are countries that want to do mining in the Congo and yet not wanting to respect the norms or environmental protection and so forth. And we also have the second largest forest in the world, which we have been talking about Congo being the country that can provide solution to a lot of the problems that the world faces in terms of the environment, together with the Amazon. And yet, with those who are hungry for destruction to the environment, they don't care. They just see the bottom line, the money dollars. I come also, that's the context briefly about the country. But in terms of my family also, I have a history of grief. We would have been 9 kids, like was already shared in my history. Today, I'm the only one left, beside my parents also having gone. Uh, so when I'm gone, that means that in terms of my immediate family, there'll be no one left except the children and the grandchildren and so forth. In the photos that you'll see there, I have a picture of my sister, who was 15 years younger than me. And when she married and at 25 years of age, and she died of sickle cell anemia when she was 7 months pregnant. Uh, and then my childhood memories vanished when the house I grew up in got on fire. And it happened uh, the day that they had gone to bury my sister. And why people were at the cemetery, our house caught on fire and they destroyed all my childhood memories. And then, as was mentioned already, uh, there was also personal tragedy. I had dreamed about going to finishing medical school and specializing in surgery, especially for being able to work in the rural hospitals in the Congo. And I actually I decided that I was not going to go to medical school in the US because I thought it would be a problem for tropical medicine at the time, from what I understood. I had to go to Europe for that, and some people, I guess, had gone to Canada. So I decided to apply in schools in Europe. And I had been accepted to go to a school in France, in Lyon, at the university. I think was a very prestigious university, Claude Bernard in Lyon. 3 weeks from the time I was supposed to start, that's when I was in a car accident. So for some people, they thought that was the end of my desire to dream, to go work in the area where I was born in the medical field. But it took a trip to Stanford University for one of my genetic classes from college to meet the dean of the School of Medicine, with whom I spent a lot of time visiting about what was possible for someone who was now on a wheelchair. And we talked about the many options. Then at the end, he said, "Hey, how about considering public health?" And at that time, I really did not know what it meant. So he explained to me what it was. And so he said, "Because of your background, I think Loma Linda would be a good place for you to go." So I decided I would apply to Loma Linda, and I had decided also that I was going to apply only to one school, only one school. And if I'm not accepted in that one school, that means I'm not going to pursue any medical related profession. And I was not surprised, but got accepted to Loma Linda. That's where I did my master's, and then later on to do my doctorate degree also at Loma Linda, focusing on international health. In terms of the challenges on the national level, but those were some of the personal challenges, family challenges. But at the national level, there were a lot of challenges. There are a lot of challenges, and some of them are related to history of conflict and violence in the country. And one of those that go back to before the country got its independence is related to the desire to, well, maybe I should say desire, when it was discovered that I think was was not the Michelin, but was blank again, where they needed the rubber to make tires in the U.S. So the King Leopold II, who had taken Congo as his personal property, decided to launch a strong campaign for collecting the rubber in the country. And any village chief who did not have the quota that was needed, they were cutting their hands. You probably see the pictures that they have there. And sometimes what they did, they would take children and put them in cages, and sometimes with the mothers, until the people who had gone to harvest the rubber came back, and if they did not meet the quota, and then the result was basically violence toward those people. And the second aspect also related to what I consider violence, and which also is the major problem, which would be probably discussed at some other time, the relationship to mining and health. During World War II, in order to end the war, the U.S. needed uranium for the bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So what did they do? They negotiated with the Congo at the time, and that's where they got the uranium. Unfortunately, that the U.S. used to drop a bomb on the people of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That was not the end of the trauma, because what happened, now the area where the Americans had collected their uranium was left as open pits. So the local people have been going in those areas to collect whatever they can collect and sell them to companies that are buying uranium from the Congo. And you can imagine all the radioactive affecting people who have been working in those space that they were mining uranium. So I'm still working on collecting all the information I can find in terms of the recorded history of cancer among those people working in those pits. The other area as a challenge for the country in the context in which I came back and all started from Makeka to work with is to do with the current conflict been going on since basically 1992, 94, after the genocide in Rwanda, and where, as you probably have heard many times, where rape was used as a weapon of war. From some of the local militia, as well as from the soldiers who came from the neighboring countries. I made 3 trips to Eastern Congo, where I was invited by a group of women who have suffered from violence. This is not just it's based on gender, but to me, it's based on just the people being whose life had been destroyed. The first time I went in far, far in the villages where even the UN people were not even getting there. So I met with 25 women first time, and the second time there were 30, and the last time I was there were about almost 100. And just you can imagine some of these young folks who were in a setting where the mothers were being raped in front of all the whole family. I met two sisters who were kidnapped in the village, when they were taken in the mountains. One of them had a baby. The baby was sitting next. I mean, it's not the baby anymore. Later, maybe the child was maybe 4 or 5 years old. And in sharing with us, she said, "Look at this thing that was because of the being raped up in the mountains." So I kept on thinking, what will the child be several years later? He was not uh, raped, but grew up being called a thing because of what the mother had gone through. Uh, then the other thing also related to that is the belief that the military is the only solution. In terms when there's a leadership inertia, power vacuum, and internal conflict, that weapons are the answer. Uh, to me, it's a challenge. And the last, I mean, not the last one of the other areas that's a challenge is when you have neighbors supporting the rebel groups, stealing and raping people and the resources. Uh, they have they give different reasons for it, and it's been documented by the UN and a lot of European, and also there were several Canadian lawyers who brought the issue to the international court, and but unfortunately, not everything had gone well in the ears of those who might be sorry, who should be probably listening. So I have a couple of pictures for you there about the people marching, protesting, denouncing, but seems like nobody seemed to have to listen from the global or international perspective. And then a picture of the president speaking at the UN National General Assembly. But seems like also only now I think that some countries are starting to respond to the cry of the Congolese people. Then I want to talk a little bit about the Congolese Renaissance, which I believe gives a ray of hope for me. One, that the country have gone through full rounds of elections, including finally the local elections since the very first democratic elections in 1960. They've been working on improving the justice system, in fighting against corruption. And then I think finally, after 60 years since independence, there's a sense of nationhood building. So it's a time when the Congolese are thinking about being a nation, not just groups of people from different areas or regions, but that we can be a nation. Like I talked about before, politics is not just for the older people whom of them have work of the idea of dividing so that you can rule. And then also there's a big push for the opposition to play its role in the way the country is run. And also the current president have been talking a lot and pushing for priority given to agriculture, and the environment agenda is being pushed, and there's even the whole ministry that had been set up for the dealing with the environment agenda. But it's still having to deal with the pressure from countries involved in mining and destruction of Congolese forest, which is second to Amazon, as I already mentioned. And now there's also another encouraging aspect is the universal health and education. And when the president had introduced the universal education, where children from primary and secondary school did not have to pay anymore, that very first year, there were 1.5 million children who attended primary and secondary school who might not have been able to do so if that was not the case. In spite of all those challenges, and now I just mentioned a few about what I see as rays of hope, I guess one thing I did not say is the fact that after the accident I was involved in, I was able to miraculously start getting up after 2 years on a wheelchair, and then walking off the water. Then 4 years later, I was able to walk just using the cane, and that until 2003. Then in 2018, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and the surgery went very well. And unfortunately, about a month later, I had the blood clot, which forced me to stay in bed for almost a couple of years because we were afraid that it could have other consequences that we are aware of. And in 21, miraculously, the blood clot was so big, and that was classified as a chronic clot, disappeared. And that's when I told my doctor, I said, you know what it means for that clot to disappear? She said, I really don't know. All I can say, that's a miracle. And I said, yeah, I guess you can think in terms of miracle, but that means for me that it's time to go back to Congo. She said, no, you can't. I said, yeah, yes, I can. I will go. So I have, because that means that now I'm also back on a wheelchair. And I've come to the conclusions that dreams are very stubborn. They're not that easy to erase or to ignore. But dreaming does not come without some requirement. For me, I have come to the conclusion that to dream require committed family, committed friends, committed mentors, and committed colleagues. You cannot dream without those ingredients, and they are other products that I can think of. So in the picture that you see, you will see one with Neil during one of the early conferences, and I have some photos of my mentors that I've had in my life. One was the Dean of the School of Public Health, and now he's the president of Loma Linda University. And each time I had been able to go back to Loma Linda, he's also the president, and also he had worked as a physician in Tanzania many years ago before going back to the States. And each time I would go there, he would drop everything and take time for me for an hour, 2 or 3, whatever we needed to spend. So those mentors makes a difference for carrying the dream that one man has. And in 2003, as was mentioned, I established Makeka of Hope. And now, I guess, what does it mean for Makeka of Hope in what I consider as a renaissance in the country, and also part of the dreams? And there you'll see the center, the picture of the center that I've been working on. And this also was for testing an idea that I had. Is it possible that the region with resources, financial resources, can share without strings to do something in another country? So I had a group of people who said, because I told them that I don't want to do what we have done sometimes in the past. If someone is working on a project in the Congo that I was familiar with, or in India, where we have churches there, they won't release the money unless they are a group of North Americans to go and participate in the construction. So I said, the idea, the genesis of the idea came from me, from the Congo, and the team for working will be from the Congo, and most of the material we would use for the building must come from the Congo. So you will see the result of that, and so forth. Then Mama Makeka House of Hope itself, as far as our vision is concerned, we want to bring a sense of hope, hospitality, a sense of nurture, and leadership empowerment to communities and individuals who suffer from lack of health, education, opportunities, and also people who have suffered from repression, violence, and conflict. Our mission as a nonprofit organization is committed to promoting and advocating, and sometimes funding initiatives related to global health, peace building, education, and leadership development, focusing on rural and professional communities in the country. There are few areas that I just mentioned for our time here in our involvement in the Congo. One is the conference center and guest house. This is the space where we have developed for workshop, conferences, and also networking through teleconferencing. And hopefully that we can be a space as a catalyst, agent of change. And then we're also developing a library where I am now. It's very small, but hopefully we can extend it in the future. The second area of involvement, there are two languages in this section. One is called Chota, C-H-O-T-A, and the second one is Mulombe tree, M-U-L-O-M-B-E tree. The Chota is a Chokwe, which is my tribe, named for a hut that's in the middle of the village. That's where people get together to work on issues of the community and so forth. Mulombe tree is a acacia kind of tree, and that's where conflict of historical nature and where blood was shed are dealt with. And it is here, only here, under the Mulombe tree, that covenant of never again is made. The third areas are, we have 30 hectares that we have purchased, where we have so far planted trees, and but it's meant to be for three reasons. One, seed production for reforestation program. Second, entrepreneurship training for people with handicap and other vulnerable groups. And then the third one, which does not exist in the country, is to develop this place as a safe haven for humanitarian agents and victims of violence and people ready to to experience burnout. Then your area is what I consider strategic relationships. Uh, there are five. One is a ministry delegate toward people with handicap. I've had a lot of meetings with them, and a couple of weeks ago, I met with the general secretary for that ministry, and it's really exciting about what we might be able to work together. Second, this is not any order, just the numbers. And the Pegasus Institute for obvious reasons. And the third one is called the Fondation Vision DRC. Together with some friends of mine from Paraguay, we created another foundation, NGO here in the Congo, focusing on vision and especially the area of cataract. And so that's already going, and it's really exciting. We're getting a lot of doctors giving their time to help with the training of the local doctors, especially from Germany. They've come 3 times now to do cataract surgeries, and the ophthalmologist from Paraguay is here, and he's staying with us in Congo now, together with his wife. And then, of course, the School of Public Health, and then the other areas, because what we are talking about is related to human rights sometimes, and I have a very good relationship now with the president of the National Council on Human Rights. And in terms of the possible conferences, probably for this coming year, or maybe next 2 years, are three that I'm thinking of. One, violence as a public health and human rights agenda. Second, social responsibilities of School of Medicine and Public Health. And third, positive masculinity, femininity beyond political will. So those are the three areas that I'm thinking we'll be focusing on in the next couple of years. So thank you. And then the last slide I have is contact information. That's all I had for now.
One thing I wanted to just do, Adequately, was share uh, uh, things, whether Pakisa, he's got a photo gallery on his website, and then there were some newsletters I had which had pictures. I don't know if that would be helpful to Pakisa. Was there something you wanted to describe with this photo gallery?
Yeah, see, those photos that you see there are my time in that area in the southern. I mean, in the rural with women who've been struggling with the issue of rape, and the other areas are in the early time I spent time in Zimbabwe, where we were building houses for children who've suffered from HIV/AIDS. Rather than promoting the orphanages, I pushed for building a house for people who are taking care of those children. And then when the children are 18, like that baby there, when the children are 18, they can move those houses to them. We had agreed with the owner. And the other photos are just these are the students at in Kinshasa at one of the universities. that we were visiting, and then that one was in Zimbabwe, where they making food for us. Uh, so this is this full of pictures. That's the woman who helped us get established in Zimbabwe. And other places are photos of the market where they sell a lot of artifacts. Uh, some are from Zimbabwe, the other ones are from here in Kinshasa. So the other photo where you saw people dancing, those were just full of culture and stuff. And then these are some of the the books. And I did a lot of work also in providing supplies for schools here in the Congo. So I believe that maybe it's too late for some of the folks in terms of how they see the world around them, but start investing in the much younger age, probably from primary school, might be a way of changing the future. Maybe picking up from I don't know, at some level might be a little too late. But it's never too late for anyone. Yeah, the other areas that was very weak was when you go to the hospital, where you find it, those are empty shelves, where it's supposed to be in the pharmacies. Was heartbreaking because I had worked in that hospital as the administrator and packed with medicine and supplies, and then many years later to go back and find them pretty much empty. And and that was another area that also pushed me to think seriously about how to become an advocate for those services and why the country is reorganizing itself. Yeah, thank you, Neil. I was in the hospital. Well, those who are physicians and working in hospital, the rules in hospitals about what you can put on wall, what you cannot. Several students from my college had wanted to put posters in my room, and I was in the rehab hospital for 3 months. So I asked my doctor. I said, you look like a wonderful person. He's the one who started the rehab at that hospital. And I said, what do you think if my friend would put poster on all these walls? And he said, well, I need to talk to the administrator. And I said, oh yeah, I know you can do it. You are nice and people like you here. And then he came back after and he said, that's fine. They can tell them just not to put any nails there. And one of the big posters they put on the center was when life give you lemon, make lemonade. And I thought it was just something very simple, but it came very deep for me that wherever you are, where you feel like the call, there's going to be a lot of lemons given to you or growing around you, but you could make lemonade and be great for yourself as well to others.